Hello, this is Erica with Launching Legacies. Welcome to our daily devotional. Today we are starting a devotional about commitment. Actually, I don't know how long the devotional is going to last or as many days, but I wanted to talk about commitment because this past weekend I went to an event for a ministry that I didn't even know was still operating. So let me explain that. So I was invited to an event, a poetry slam or a poetry spoken word event. And the ministry that was behind it, I had visited or been associated with many, many years ago. And I had visited them and I knew a lot about them, but I thought that the ministry had kind of gone under, which was sad for me because this ministry had really worked with young people and was really relevant and current, and it was in the inner city. And so when I thought that it went under, I just said, well, you know, sometimes things don't last and no big deal. But then I come to find out when I went to this recent event that this ministry had been going on the whole time. And I guess it's morphed and changed over time, and that's great. But it made me think as I was sitting in the event and thinking about how great a job they were doing. The event was well done. It was somewhat well organized. The people who were on stage were really talented, and they had really done a great job. And so I was really proud of their commitment because I knew that they had had some setbacks, and in my thought they had completely gone under, but they were committed. And even the words that they spoke as they did their spoken word was about commitment. They talked about the commitment of marriage, and these are young people. I mean, like 30 something and younger. And they talked about being committed to their wives. The men were on stage talking about being committed to their wives. They were talking about being committed to real ministry, to really spreading the good news. Like, it was really a very inspiring and helpful event in the sense that it refreshed my thought of commitment. And so I wanted to do a devotional on commitment. So let's get started. And I want to nod to P4CM. So that's Passion for Christ Ministries. That's the organization that did an event called Rhetoric. So it's done for this year, but I know that they do it annually. So I'm going to give a nod to them and say, you know, I'm proud of you guys. I support what you're doing, and I'm glad that you guys are still ministering and you're committed to ministry. Now, after that nod, let's get started with John 21. So we're going to look at John 21, the 15th chapter. And this is Jesus. He's speaking to Peter. So it says, I'm reading from the Amplified Translation, and it says, so when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Okay, this is amplified, so here goes the amplification. It says, others, more than these, which are the others, okay? And with total commitment and devotion is what he's asking. Do you love me that way, with total commitment and devotion? And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you with a deep personal affection as a close friend. And Jesus said to him, feed my lambs. Again, he said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? With total commitment and devotion. And he said to him, yes, Lord, you know I love you with deep personal affection as for a close friend. And Jesus said to him, shepherd my sheep. And he said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? With a deep personal affection for me as a close friend. And Peter was grieved that he asked him 3 times, do you really love me with a deep personal affection as for a close friend? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you with a deep personal affection as for a close friend. And Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. Okay. And that ends the 17th verse. So what's happening here? Okay, so Jesus is talking to Peter and he's about to go away. He's going to have the ascension. And so what's going to happen is Peter is been given the responsibility of what? Taking care of the sheep, taking care of the flock. And so Jesus is asking Peter a question of personal commitment. He's like, listen, Do you love me? Like, are you going to be committed to what I'm calling you to do, which is shepherd my sheep? Are you going to be committed to the thing I'm asking for you? And that's why he keeps asking it over and over again. And he's telling him different things every time, right? So he goes to feed and shepherd and so on and so forth. But the point here is that Jesus is making a significant direction towards commitment. He's like, listen, are you committed to what I'm asking you to do? Are you committed to the cause that I'm calling you to, which is to take care of these sheep? Like, is that what your mind is focused on? And if you are so focused on it, if you love me, then I'm asking you to commit to taking care of these. And so it's a really inspiring passage, really, because maybe you read it before and you thought, like, why does he keep asking them over and over again and giving them these different instructions? And what he's saying is the sincerity of your love needs to be demonstrated in your service to these sheep, to these people who I want you to shepherd. Make sure that your commitment of love is manifest in this way, because even though it hurt Peter's feelings a bit, because he kept asking, like, well, I love you, I love you. Even though it hurt his feelings, Jesus was amping up to say, I don't want you to forget these things. You've said some things before and didn't follow through. You've had some times before where you weren't committed to what you said you were committed to. And now I want to make sure that you say you love these people, and this is the demonstration of that love, that you take care of my sheep, that you take care of them, that you would feed them, that you would shepherd them, that you would flock, that you would be the one who looks over them and doesn't let them go astray. And so it's a really significant passage, like I said, because remember, Peter is the one that betrayed Christ. And even though he said that he loved him so much, he wasn't there for him when Jesus needed him. And so we know that Peter was a good talker, and it's fine to be a talker if that's who you are. Nobody wants to come against your personal identity. However, if what you're saying, if you just keep talking and you're talking and talking and there's no commitment to back it up, that's problematic. And that's what Jesus is getting to here with Peter. He really has faith that Peter can do what he says he can do. But I think this point he's ramping him up, making sure he's fully committed and fully aware that what he's saying, God is calling him into action for. And it's the same for us, right? Whatever it is that we profess, God is calling us into action for it. He's calling and asking us to make a commitment to do what he's called us to do. So we say that we are husbands, then we got to be committed to being husbands. If we say we're wives, then committed to being wives. If we say that we are parents, then commit to parenting. If we're servants, then commit to serving. Whatever it is that we need to be doing, we need to be committed to it through the difficult times and the good times. And that's why that ministry was such an encouragement for me, because we're talking about young people who can go anywhere. They're talented. They can do anything, but they committed themselves to do this ministry. And although I know they've had ups and downs, because I have followed the ministry years ago, through their up and downs, they've made it. They're still committed to doing this work. And that makes a big difference, because at the end, it's not he who wins the race, but he who perseveres to the end of the race, right? So you can keep running. As long as you're running and you make it to the end, then you're a success, right? You matter because you've made it to the end. And so what happens with people like this ministry that I was talking about, P4CM, they're running the race still. They're influencing people still. They're encouraging young people still. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And because of that, God is being glorified in their run, in their race, in their purpose as they're driving. And maybe it's different people, and I don't fully know who exactly is involved with it now versus who used to be, but they're keeping the same name. So they're holding this banner and going forth despite whatever obstacles are coming their way. And that's commitment. And I just want to encourage you to explore your own commitment to whatever God has asked you to do. What does he ask you to be a part of? Or what does he ask you to commit to? And are you like Peter? Are you a person who you said a lot, but now he wants to see you do a lot? If that's the case, then now's the time. And he says, just like Jesus said to Peter, I'm gonna ask you, do you love the Lord? Right? And if so, then do what he's asked you to do. And I don't know what that is. You know, though. And if you don't know, then we should get into a place of which we're exploring what is God asking us to do. But at the same point, be committed, even if it's just to the exploration of understanding. What am I supposed to do? This is a time of commitment. It says, Peter, do you love me? right? If you love me, then show me, demonstrate that, right? And so we want to encourage you that we're praying for you, that you would commit, just like Jesus is asking Peter to commit. But also, we would ask you that you would commit to even doing your own personal devotionals, reading the word and being strong and fortified in it, so that whatever God has asked you to do, you can do it well, right? A workmanship, not being ashamed of your workmanship, knowing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The scripture says, study to show yourself approved, a workman who needed not to be ashamed. And so we want you to be able to do that. Study, definitely. That's what this devotional is dedicated to, is to quick moments of the word so that you can get ready for what's next in your life. But two, we ask you that you would pray, not just read the word and study the devotional section that we talk about, but will you pray for us? Will you pray for Launching Legacies? We've committed to pray for you, and we know that that our prayers make a difference. And so we thank you that you would pray for us, because we know that your prayers also make a difference in our organization, in our lives. But thank you for joining us today, and we want to ask you to continue to watch us. We'll be back again tomorrow with another of our devotionals. But again, remember, commitment. It's important. What are you committed to? Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow with another devotional. Until then, be blessed.